Have you ever paused to think about the names of our months? January, February, March. They roll off our tongues so easily, a familiar rhythm in the soundtrack of our year. But have you ever stopped to wonder why they are called what they are? Where did these strange words come from? It's a question that might seem simple at first glance, like asking why the sky is blue. But delve a little deeper, and you'll find yourself stepping into a world shrouded in the mists of time, a world of ancient gods, powerful emperors, and calendars that look nothing like the one hanging on your kitchen wall. Imagine for a moment a world without a calendar, without readily available books, without even a consistent way to measure the days. This was the case for early civilizations. Time wasn't the neatly packaged, predictable thing it is for us today. The year was a wild, unpredictable beast, governed by the sun, the moon, and the changing seasons. Figuring out when to plant crops, when to celebrate festivals, when to simply expect the next sunrise, these were crucial, life-or-death questions. And to answer them, they needed a system, a way to mark the passage of time. This is where calendars were born, and with them, the very first attempts to name the periods within a year. But here's the intriguing part. Our modern calendar, the one that dictates our birthdays, holidays, and work schedules, isn't some brand new invention. It's a descendant, a modified version, of something incredibly ancient. What if I told you that January wasn't always January? What if the months you know so well had completely different identities in the distant past? Imagine calling March something else entirely, something that sounded strange and unfamiliar to your ears. It might feel unsettling, almost like stepping into an alternate reality. But this is the reality of history. Our months have secrets, hidden stories woven into their very names, stories that stretch back to the heart of the Roman Empire and even earlier. In this video, we are not just going to look at dates and names, we are going to uncover the reasons behind them. We'll meet gods and goddesses, emperors and reformers, and we'll see how their beliefs, their power, and their very lives are imprinted onto the months we use every single day. Get ready to be surprised, to be intrigued, and to perhaps never look at your calendar quite the same way again. The story of our month names is a captivating puzzle, and the first piece we need to find lies deep in the heart of ancient Rome, a Rome that was, in the beginning, surprisingly confused about time itself. Their earliest calendar was, to put it mildly, a bit of a mess. It was said to have been invented by Romulus, the legendary founder of Rome himself. But Romulus, while a great myth, wasn't exactly a calendar expert. This original Roman calendar was incredibly short. Instead of 12 months, it only had 10. Yes, you read that right, 10 months. What happened to the other 2? Well, they simply weren't there. It's like a puzzle with missing pieces, leaving a gaping hole in the year. These 10 months started around March, which they called Martius, and went all the way to December. But what about the winter months, that long, cold stretch after December and before the return of spring? Those months were essentially unaccounted for. And what were these 10 original months called? Here's where it gets even more interesting. The first 4 months were named after gods or important figures. Martius was for Mars, the god of war. Aprilis might be linked to the goddess Venus, or the word aperia meaning to open, signifying spring. Maius was for Maia, a goddess of spring and growth. Junius was for Juno, the queen of the gods and protector of marriage. These names already hint at the importance of gods in their lives, and how the calendar was intertwined with their religious beliefs. But then, things took a decidedly less imaginative turn. The remaining 6 months were simply numbered. Quintilis, 5th month, Sextilis, 6th month, September, 7th month, October, 8th month, November, 9th month, and December, 10th month. Yes, that's right, September, October, November, and December, the months we still use today, were originally just numbers. This 10-month calendar caused all sorts of problems. Because it was shorter than the actual solar year, the time it takes for the Earth to go around the Sun, the calendar quickly fell out of sync with the seasons. Festivals meant to celebrate the harvest would end up happening in the middle of winter. Imagine celebrating spring in the snow. Chaos reigned. Farmers were confused about planting times, religious festivals became misplaced, and keeping track of anything accurately was a nightmare. It was like trying to navigate with a broken compass in a dense fog. Someone had to fix this mess. Numa Pompilius, the second king of Rome, was credited with making some crucial changes to the calendar. He realized the glaring problem, the missing winter months. And so, he is said to have added 2 new months to the beginning of the year. These weren't just numbered months either. They were given proper names. Januarius, named after Janus, the two-faced god of beginnings and doorways, and Februarius, named after the Februar purification festival. Suddenly, the Roman calendar had 12 months, and they were roughly aligned with the solar year. It was a huge improvement, but the calendar was still far from perfect. Think about it. The months were still a mishmash of God's names and numbers. And those numbered months, September to December, no longer matched their numbers. September, the 7th month, was now the 9th month of the year. October, the 8th month, was now the 10th. It was a historical quirk, a lasting legacy of that chaotic early calendar. These names, these numerical ghosts of months past, are still with us today, a constant reminder of the calendar's bumpy and somewhat confusing beginnings. But the story doesn't end there. The Roman calendar was destined for further transformations, further name changes, and further intrigue, all leading to the months we know today. The real drama, the power struggles and ego clashes that shaped our month names, are still to come. Let's take a closer look at that very first month of the Roman calendar, the one they called Martius. Why Martius? Because it was dedicated to Mars, the Roman god of war. And Mars, in his ancient form, was seen as a protector of agriculture, a force that ensured the fertility of the land and the success of the crops. He was a guardian of the fields, ensuring a bountiful harvest. Martius, therefore, wasn't just a random name. It was deeply symbolic. It marked the beginning of the active year, both in terms of agriculture and warfare. It was a time of renewed energy, a time to march forward into the tasks and challenges of the year ahead. Think of the word march itself. It evokes movement, progress, and a forward momentum. In ancient Rome, Martius was a month filled with important religious festivals dedicated to Mars. So, when you think of March today, you might think of spring break, the first signs of warmer weather, or perhaps the beginning of baseball season. But remember its ancient roots. Caesar, with the help of an Alexandrian astronomer named Sosigenes, introduced a new calendar system, a solar calendar much closer to the one we use today. This new calendar, called the Julian calendar, named after Julius Caesar, was a significant improvement. It fixed many of the inaccuracies of the old calendar and brought more order to the Roman year. But Caesar didn't stop there. He decided to honor himself, in a way that was both audacious and incredibly long-lasting. In 44 BC, the Roman Senate, eager to flatter the powerful Caesar, decided to rename Quintilis in his honor. They changed its name to Julius. And just like that, Quintilis, the boring 5th month, became Julius, forever linked to the name of Julius Caesar. This was a bold move. It was no longer just about gods and numbers. It was now about honoring powerful men, living, breathing emperors. But the story doesn't end with Julius Caesar. Fast forward a few years, and Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, rose to power, becoming the first Roman emperor, known to history as Augustus. Augustus, just like his adoptive father, was keen to solidify his power and legacy. And he wasn't going to be outdone by Caesar when it came to calendar name changes. Sextilis, the 6th month, was next in line for a makeover. Augustus, feeling perhaps a little envious of Caesar's month, decided that Sextilis should also bear his name. And so, Sextilis became Augustus. There's even a story, possibly apocryphal but certainly telling, that Augustus chose Sextilis because it had 30 days, while Julius, July, had 31. To ensure his month wasn't inferior to Caesar's, Augustus supposedly added a day to August, taking it from February. Whether this story is true or not, it perfectly illustrates the ego and power dynamics at play. Emperors weren't just shaping history, they were literally shaping time itself, or at least, the way people named and counted time. So, Quintilis became July, and Sextilis became August. 2 months, originally just numbers, now forever linked to the names of two of the most influential figures in Roman history. This marked a significant shift in how months were named. It moved away from purely religious or numerical designations towards a more personal, power-centric system. It was a reflection of the changing Roman world, where emperors held immense sway, and even the calendar could be molded to reflect their glory. Think about it, July and August. We use these names every single day, without perhaps realizing that they are direct tributes to Roman emperors who lived thousands of years ago. But what about the remaining months? Did emperors try to rename them all after themselves? Did September, October, November, and December escape this imperial renaming spree? Interestingly, September, October, November, and December managed to escape the imperial renaming frenzy. Despite being numerically out of sync, remember, September means 7th month but is now the 9th, and so on, their numerical names stuck. Perhaps it was simply inertia, the difficulty of changing names that were already in common use. Or maybe, after honoring 2 emperors, there was a limit to how much further the Roman Senate was willing to go with calendar flattery. Whatever the reason, September, October, November, and December remain as linguistic fossils, echoes of a time when the year began in March, and these months were indeed the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. They are like little time capsules embedded in our language, constantly reminding us of the calendar's numerical origins. Think about it. Every time you say September, you are unknowingly saying 7th month in ancient Roman. It's a hidden piece of history embedded in everyday speech. Now, let's turn our attention to January and February, the 2 months added by Numa Pompilius to fill in the winter gap. Januarius was named after Janus, the two-faced god of beginnings, doorways, and transitions. Fittingly placed at the start of the year, January embodies the idea of looking both to the past, one face looking back, and to the future, the other face looking forward. Janus was an important deity in Roman religion, and naming the first month after him gave the start of the year a sense of sacred significance, a time for reflection and anticipation. Februarius, the month of February, gets its name from the Februa, a Roman festival of purification and cleansing. This festival, held in late winter, was a time for rituals aimed at purifying the city and its people, preparing them for the new year and the coming of spring. So, February, while sometimes seen as a short and perhaps less exciting month, is also rooted in ancient Roman religious practices, connected to ideas of renewal and spiritual cleansing. And that, in essence, is the story of how our months got their names. A fascinating journey through ancient Rome, from chaotic 10-month calendars to imperial name changes, and from gods of war to festivals of purification. Our month names are a rich tapestry woven from history, religion, and power. They are not just arbitrary labels, they are living links to a distant past, whispering tales of ancient beliefs and societal structures. So, the next time you look at your calendar, Take a moment to appreciate the history hidden within those familiar month names. January, named for a two-faced god of beginnings. February, linked to purification rituals. March, named for the god of war and spring. April, perhaps hinting at the opening of spring. May, dedicated to a goddess of growth. June, honoring the queen of the gods. July and August, forever stamped with the names of powerful Roman emperors. And September, October, November, December, still echoing their numerical origins from a calendar long gone. If you enjoyed this story, kindly share it and don't forget to subscribe.